And I love Rocky. I love Rocky so much. Oh god, I love the smell of this book. I am going to recommend these books non-stop, so be prepared for me to get annoying because I will. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy that you guys are here, and in today's video we are going to be reading some very exciting books. I am really excited to read these books, and I'm going to say that a lot because I truly am excited to read those books. But I thought I'm going to put like a fun twist on this reading vlog because, well, I just thought it's going to be fun, really. And in today's reading vlog, we are going to be reading books that are written by men only. So we are only going to be reading books that are written by a man. I don't know why I had to explain that to you, but anyways, I feel like the books that are on my bookshelves are written by women, like 99% of it. And the rest, like 1%, I might have here and there a book written by a man. And so I thought it's going to be fun to read those books in this reading vlog. And I have a few books in mind that I want to read in this reading vlog. And I'm not going to say it just yet because I want to kind of like make it a surprise for you guys, but I am very excited. And we are going to start with, let me grab it, we are going to start with Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I'm so very excited to read this book. I have already started this morning and I'm on page 54 and that is chapter 4, but I feel like I don't have enough information in order to be able to give you guys a good like summary of this book, and I don't want to spoil anything. But this book basically is about this guy, and he wakes up and he doesn't know where he is and who he is and what his role is in the situation that he currently found himself in. So basically we are finding out with him about himself and his present but also his past. And yeah, I am loving it so far. Well, I didn't read that many pages and I don't think I can like give my opinion just yet, but I am enough pages in to say that I feel like I'm going to like it. It is very sci-fi. Well, it is a sci-fi book, but it is very science heavy, and he was a science teacher, and so I think we are going to like learn quite a lot of like sciencey stuff. And I already like learned something in this book, and I went up to Pat and I was like, oh, did you know, like, you know, fun fact. And I like books like this. Well, not too much to the point where it confuses me and it makes me feel like it's like school and homework and stuff like that, but I do like books where I am able to also learn stuff. I think it's quite interesting, especially stuff that I don't really have a clue about. So yeah, I am enjoying it so far, but this is the first book we are going to start with, which I am really excited about. And we are going to probably be reading 2 more books in this reading vlog, so like 3 books in total. But I am like quite sure of the next book that I want to read, but I don't know about the third one, so we might be picking that together, or maybe I can put like a poll on Instagram or something like that. I will see, but I am so very excited to read this book some more. So I will go do some reading and I will let you guys know what I think of this book as I read it. I am on page 154 right now, so I made good progress in this book, and honestly I am really liking it. It's a weird book to describe, and also like I was looking at some reviews online and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, so I'm going to be very vague and I'm not going to have as many updates as I would normally have, just because I don't know what I can say that wouldn't be considered a spoiler. So I'm going to keep it very vague, like I mentioned. But the way this book starts is with this guy, and he wakes up basically in space and he has no idea who he is, how he got there, why he is there. And the entire premise of this book is him trying to remember who he is while also learning where he is at the moment, like in the present, but we also learn who he is and why he is there with the flashbacks that he gets. So in every single chapter we have a flashback that will help him kind of solve the mystery that he is experiencing in that instance. So for example, in the first chapter he doesn't know who he is and all of that stuff, but when he wakes up he can see that there's two people kind of like sleeping like in the same room as him, but later he finds out that these people are actually dead because they have been in a coma for such a long time. So slowly he is learning who those people were to him, if they were important, if he should be feeling any sort of like grief towards them and anything like that. So slowly he's learning who he is, what his like job is, why he is there, and who made him be there, if that makes any sense. And that's kind of like his present timeline. And then his past timeline, we learn how he got to be where he is right now. And like in his flashbacks we get to meet this woman called Strat, and she is basically like the head leader of this entire mission, right? And the way she's described is as being very like strong, and she doesn't take no for answer, and she pulls the strings, and she's very like powerful, and she has a lot of influence within like these big corporations and organizations. So she is the one that makes people do what she wants them to do. And I don't think there's going to be a romance between her and our MMC, but I think there's going to be something. I don't think romance is like the main plot whatsoever. I think we're going to literally get a sprinkle in this book, but I feel like that sprinkle is going to be so like unique to read about. I don't know. This book gives me like unique vibes because I have read Atmosphere, which is about space and stars and everything like that, but I haven't read a book like this. This is very sci-fi, and obviously it is a science fiction book, but I didn't know going into this book that there's going to be so much science. I didn't know much going into this book, and now that I'm reading it I see kind of like reviews everywhere, and I'm scared. I always like scroll because I don't want to spoil it for myself, and people kind of like leave spoilers without saying that they are spoilers, which just really messed me up. But what I was saying, I don't remember where I was going with this. Oh, I know where I was going with this. There's a lot of science information, and I feel like if you know what they're talking about, you're going to enjoy this book even more because that's kind of like a bread and butter, right? But for somebody like me that doesn't really have a clue about science and specifically what they are talking about in this book, it's not that it goes past my head, which it does sometimes, like some of these terms and like the math equations in this as well. I'm like, I can't, I'm not good with maths anyways, but I also find it very interesting, and I'm finding myself like really locking into this book and trying to understand what they're saying because I truly find it interesting. And I'm like, what if this was actually real? Like, what if this happen or will happen? Like, I'm going to learn something very like useful from this book. But yeah, anyways, all of that to say is that I'm finding this book very interesting, and even though it's a very like heavy loaded science information type of book, I find it interesting, and I'm not a science person. So if you are a science person, I think you're going to enjoy this book quite a lot. I also feel like if you're picking this book up and you are confused, because I am confused at some points as well, I'm like, wait, how, why? But I don't think that matters that much. I think you are able, or you are going to be able to enjoy this book without really understanding the science bits of it anyways, because you are able to understand like the overarching story of the book. So all of these like small intricate details that like build up the big overall story, they're important, but you can understand the big story without understanding these small details, if that makes any sense. But yeah, this also, I want to mention that the way this book started is very funny. Like the humor in this book is like really humorous. It makes me laugh, it makes me like smile, and it makes me giddy. This guy is very funny. Like literally he wakes up, he doesn't know where he is, and he has this robot next to him, and the robot is like, what's 2 plus 2? And the guy can't speak because he literally just woke up from a coma. And after 3 attempts at trying to say what 4 plus 4 is, and he just cannot say anything, the robot is asking him like what his name is. And I just found it really funny because he looks at himself, he's like, okay, I'm white, I look like I'm mid-30s, my name is John. I just found that really, really funny. That's how the humor is in this book, which is really, like, again, I'm loving it. And also everyone says to listen to the audiobook because it adds that much more personality to it, and it truly does. I've been listening to like 2 chapters so far of this, and yeah, it's very good. The narrator does such a good job. I love his voice, I love his narration, I love the intonation of his voice, and it truly brings like this character to life even more, even though this character is very like lively, and you can feel that by reading with your eyeballs, but listening to the audiobook, like, it just makes it so much more alive, if that makes any sense. Like, I truly feel like this is a real person, and the way the humor comes across via the audiobook, it's really good. Honestly, I would highly recommend so far the book, but also the audiobook. So all of this to say is that I am enjoying this book so much. I don't know if I'm going to update you guys anymore because, like I mentioned, I don't know what I can say without spoiling this book, and I've read this like blurb quite a few times, and I feel like you shouldn't be reading this blurb if you go into it. Just go into it blind, knowing that we are following this guy and he is in the middle of space and he doesn't know who he is and why he's there, and you are going to basically learn everything about him with him while he learns about himself. So just know that I've been trying to read this blurb, so I know what I can say without spoiling much, but I feel like this kind of spoils stuff as well. Even like because he doesn't remember his name, and you learn his name on the blurb, I feel like it's much nicer to learn his name while you read the book. So I just go into this not knowing that much, but all of this to say again is that I don't know how much I'll be able to update because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. But yeah, I'm planning to listen to this audiobook a bit more today. Before I talk to you guys about the reading updates that I have, I just want to quickly go through the books that I got from Waterstones the other day. It's been a couple of days since we went to the store, like we went out for a kind of like coffee day. Not really, we just decided to go out for coffee. But Pat got me some books and I wanted to quickly show you guys what I got. So the first 2 books that I got were like from an offer, so I wanted to buy this book anyways. And if I was to buy this, I would get another book at half price. So I decided to go for Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. And again, I don't know what this book is. I feel like it's a bending genre type of book where it is a bit of like mystery and thriller and literary fiction. So I'm excited to see what this book is about, and I do want to do like a 24 hours reading vlog, so I think this would be like a good one because it seems quite short. Then I have Abby Jimenez, The Night We Met, and honestly, I have already pre-ordered this last year in August from Amazon, and I have pre-ordered like the nice sprayed edges version of it, but for some reason my Amazon order decided to get delayed, and then I got like a notification where it said that I already received the book when I didn't receive it. So I decided to cancel that and just get like a normal version whenever I can. I don't know we are going to go to the bookstore, but I'm glad I did because I do wanted it actually in paperback, because the rest of the books that I have from Abby Jimenez are in paperback, so I think it makes a bit more sense. And then I got Half City by Kate Golden, and I think this is a dystopian book. I don't know what this book is actually about, but everyone is raving about this book, and I don't really read dystopian books. I don't think if I have ever read one. I'm not actually quite sure. I haven't read like The Hunger Games. I haven't watched the movies or anything like that, so I have no idea, honestly. But it gets so much hype, and I'm just really, really excited to see what this book is about. And I feel like the cover looks so, so good. I love this cover. Like, look at this. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this book. Let's see, does it have, oh no, it's just a plain, but it smells so good. Oh god, I love the smell of this book. Like, the smell of books, I think, is the best smell in the entire world. Okay, so my first reading update is that I have finished Project Hail Mary last night, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. I have really, really enjoyed this book, and I feel like I put my thoughts really, really well in my Goodreads review, so I'm going to put that on the screen, and I'm also going to leave my Goodreads account like in the description box if you want to go and see that. But my main thing with this book is that I knew going into it it's going to be science fiction. Like, I knew it's going to be sci-fi, and I was fine with it, even though I don't read science fiction. But because of the hype that it gets and because of how much people love this book, I want to try it myself. And I knew going into it that it's going to be very like sciencey. Well, not very sciencey, because some people said that you could read this book even though you don't know much about science and you're not a science person. And as much as that is true, I feel like if you're a person that wants to know why it's happening the entirety of the book that you're reading, then I think you're going to be a bit frustrated at some points that you don't understand everything that is happening, because it is very heavy on the science. And I feel like all the steps that it took this character to get where he was at certain points in this book were very sciencey, and I just couldn't understand because I'm not a science person. And it is interesting, but if you are reading about like something that you don't understand, then obviously you're going to like get bored, and you're going to want to like move on and see what is going to happen next. And I feel like all these intricate small details of the entirety of this journey I didn't really get. So I got frustrated at some points because I don't know how we got where we are. All of that to say is that if you are a science person, I think this is going to be your next favorite book. And I see all the research and all the science that has been put into this book, and I really appreciate that. But again, because I'm not a science maths person, I don't really understand it and I can't comprehend it. So that's like my only complaint. But I love the characters, and I was saying in my Goodreads review that every single character had a role, and I feel like even if we were to not have one of them, I feel like the story wouldn't be the same. And everyone made this story so much more heartwarming and so much more like funny and comedic, and I feel like we couldn't get where we were without one of those characters in the story. I loved Strat a lot. She was such like a misunderstood character, and I don't agree with her most of the times, but I did see her point of view, or at least where she was coming from, and I enjoyed like the dynamics between our MMC and Strat. I feel like they were very different, and they were kind of done on purpose to see like the different layers of humanity, if that makes any sense. And I loved Rocky a lot, and also the ending of this book, I didn't expect that, but it made me so happy. And I wish Rocky was real, or maybe he is, I don't know. But I had a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend this book. It was definitely a book that it was out of my comfort zone, so I'm happy that I got to read it. I am definitely going to recommend this book, and I'm very, very excited to also watch the movie now. I've watched the trailer last night and I really enjoyed it. I'm curious to see how they are going to put this book into movie, because I feel like the majority of this book is like his inner monologue. So I'm curious to see how they are going to translate that into like the movie adaptation of this book. I'm really interested. So maybe if I watch the movie tonight or tomorrow, I will give like a mini review of the movie as well. But the first book of our reading vlog is done. 4 stars. I would highly recommend it, and I really, really enjoyed this book. And then I got this book on my Kindle as well. It was like 99p. But I am currently reading The Boy from the Sea by Garrett Carr. And he is an Irish writer, if I'm not mistaken. I think he is. Yeah, I think, oh yeah, he is an Irish writer. And this book is really weird. Like, I don't know how to describe it. And not weird in a bad way or not weird in a good way. Like, it's just I haven't read a book like this before. I don't have my Kindle with me right now. I am on chapter, I think, like, yeah, I am on chapter 5 because I just finished chapter 4 this morning in bed on my Kindle. But that is page 85 and that looks like about this much. But I don't know how to feel about this book. So this book is set in 1973 and we are set in like this Irish like tiny town where everyone knows everyone and everyone is kind of like in each other's business. And one day a baby is brought by the sea into this town, and when he's found, basically like the entire community gathers together and they're like in awe of this baby and they call him the boy from the sea. And basically we are following our main characters, who are Ambrose and his wife and his 2 years old boy, and they decide as a family to adopt this baby and give him a home. And the minute the baby is brought into their family, we can tell that their baby boy is not happy with this baby being brought into the family. And my problem is not with that. I feel like the premise of this book is like quite unique and interesting. My thing with this book is the fact that it is told very weirdly. Like, the narration of this book is like done in a way that I haven't read before. So we are basically in everyone's POV. So if we read from like Ambrose, who is like our MMC in this book, we are gonna get like a few sentences from him. But then he's having like, let's say, breakfast with his wife, and his wife is thinking of something, and we are going to have like her inner monologue, and that's within like a chapter. So like the paragraphs change within whoever like is telling the story. So it's basically a story told by like the entire community, but we are mainly focusing on Ambrose, his wife, his little baby, and obviously the baby that they have adopted as well. So it's very weird because I don't know whose POV I am in, and sometimes I'm getting very confused and I'm like, okay, but who is this about? But then it's kind of like directed to us as the reader, and I feel like I don't know who is talking to me, if that makes any sense. The narration of this book is very like interesting and confusing, and I haven't read something like this before. And also, like, my only other thing with this book, it's very like wordy. Like, a chapter is almost 1 hour long because I have it on my Kindle and it tells me how long I have left of a chapter. And I feel like I'm reading for ages and then I still have like half an hour left of that chapter. I'm like, wait, but how? Because I've been reading for like an hour already. It's very wordy and it feels like at some point I'm like, okay, but let's see, let's move on. Like, what's going to happen next? So yeah, that's how I feel about this book so far. I'm going to like read some more of it tonight, maybe even finish it or get close to finishing this book. I don't know. I was thinking of DNFing it this morning actually, but I don't want to because it's a short book and also I haven't read a book like this. So I don't want to see. I want to like read the entirety of this book just to see how I'm going to like it, if I'm going to like it, and if I'm not going to like it, like what is it that I dislike about the book. So I'm going to keep reading, but yeah, if you have read this book, let me know because I'm really, really curious to see if other people have liked it, because I feel like I looked on Goodreads and not many people read this book. So yeah, let me know if you have read this book and let me know if you liked it. And yeah, I'm going to do a bit more reading like later tonight, and I will let you guys know if I'm going to DNF this book or not, or what I think as I go through it. Okay, so I have some updates regarding this book. I'm not almost done, but I've made quite a lot of progress through it like the last few days. And I'm not enjoying it. I am enjoying it. I don't know how to describe this book. And I know I gave like a brief summary in my previous update, but I just need to mention that I was confused with the narration of this book. And I also looked at some reviews again, and the way this book is told is by the entire community, right? So basically we are getting told a story, but we are getting told a story from like an entire village. So basically we have no POVs, we only have like this big story told by the entire community of this family and what has happened to them, and how this decision of adopting this baby that appeared one day by the sea, how that affected them and how they dealt with this, and all of that emotion, and how the relationships got affected and how they managed to solve it or move on, or how this baby also affected the community and the village. And it gives me like a very strong community type of feeling, and it's very really narrated, and I can't connect to these characters, I can't connect to these stories. And I'm being completely honest, at some points I'm thinking of DNFing it because I just truly don't care. I feel like I need to be in our character's head to be able to connect with them. And because again of the way this story is told, I am unable to do that. And it's just very hard for me to care or to not get distracted and like look at my phone or do completely something else but not read this book. Like I'm struggling to read it. The majority of this book it's dragging for me, and I just cannot see myself going through it. I do really want to because it's a short book again, and it's something like I've never read before. And obviously I feel like I put a lot of time and effort into this book to DNF it right now. I feel like I'm past the point where I feel okay with DNFing a book, but I don't know, we'll see. So far the book it's like a bit weird because I know I said we are following this family and Ambrose and his wife have adopted this baby, but we are also following Ambrose's wife, sister, and his wife, father, and basically their entire like family dynamics, because we can already tell that his wife and her sister are very close and they have like a really strong relationship. And actually I'm not sure, but I think their mother either passed away or she has left them, and they have only been with their father, and their father is a very like cold and closed off type of person. He has provided for them, like, you know, they had heat and they had clothes and they had like food on the table, but he hasn't actually been a father to them. So we see how that affected each sister but in a different way. And now we see that one of the sisters, she already has like a family and she's already like a caretaker for her family and for her children and for her husband, whereas her sister is taking care of her father. And I feel like there's a lot of like resentment, and there's a lot of like unresolved and unsaid feelings towards one another. And that's like again like a big part of the story. Another big part of the story is how the kids, the babies, straight from the beginning just didn't get along. We can see that Brendan, I think that's how you pronounce his name, that's the baby that was brought up by the sea. We can see that he is after like his older brother and he is like admiring him and adoring him and all of that stuff. But then we see Declan, and that's Ambrose's biological son. And we can see that from the beginning he just hates this baby. He knows that this baby it's not supposed to be there, so he doesn't want him there. There's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of like resentment, there's a lot of like bad feelings between each other. And also a lot of these feelings are caused by the parents, because for some reason everyone, the entire community really has been fascinated with this baby that was brought by the sea, and he was kind of seen like a divine sign of some sorts, and that gives this baby from the beginning a lot of attention and a lot of love and admiration, whereas Declan, he's kind of like forgotten and he's not really like loved the same way Brendan is. So I understand why. And right now I find this book a bit weird because we're at this point where Brandon, he is 14 years old or something like that, and for some reason he is going around town and he's giving like blessings to people, and they are looking for his blessings. And basically what he does, he just goes up to people, he hugs them, or like puts his hand on their shoulder, and he's like, God bless you, I hope everything goes all right. And for some reason the entire community is just so fascinated with him that they actually think he has some sort of like something magic, something like that. I have no idea how to actually describe it. So this aspect of this book is also weird, but also brings a lot of friction between the brothers. And yeah, that's my update so far. I feel like I'm going to finish it. I really want to. I only have like 4 hours left of reading, I think. That's what it said on my Kindle. Let's see. Yes, I am 55% of the way through, and I've got 4 hours and 15 minutes left of this book. So today is the last day of the month. So I really want to finish this book before I go to sleep so I can like have it done this month. But I don't know if I'll be able to do it actually. I have no idea. I don't really fancy to like read it right now. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do more reading for sure. And I'll let you guys know once I have finished this book up, and I will come back with like a final rating for you. It's been a few days since I gave an update, and I'm coming back with like bad news. Well, I don't know if they're bad or good, but I have decided to DNF this book. I have stopped at 60% of the way through. I think I was just about to reach chapter 11, which is page 203. I'm not sure if I've reached this chapter or not because I was reading on my Kindle, but I know I stopped at 60% of the way through this book. I feel like from the beginning, I had a feeling that I'm going to DNF this book, but I just decided to stick through it because the entire plot, the entire premise of this book sounded really interesting to me. I was really curious and I was really like intrigued to see how the story will develop and how we are going to have this premise in a book. I was really, really interested from the beginning, but unfortunately, I just cannot stick to this book. So I feel like I have put all my like thoughts and everything that I was thinking about in a really nice, concisable and understandable manner in my Goodreads review. So I'm going to leave that on the screen, and I'm also going to leave my Goodreads account in the description down below so you guys can like go look it up there if you want to. But this book felt to me like we are telling a story, but we are just telling a story to have the story told. We have no like beginning really and no end. I feel like I was floating, but just to be floating. I didn't have like an end to the journey. I feel like we are just, going about, and it didn't have like essence, and it just did not have any sort of like plot with an ending. I just feel like it was just being told, but like there was no beginning, there was no end, and it was just a middle, and that was it. So you wouldn't be satisfied because you didn't get from point A to point B. You were just like in between point A and point B, and that was it. And my main issue with this book was the narration of it. Like I mentioned, it's told from like the villagers' perspective, and honestly, I just could not understand. It felt so annoying at some point because we are being told this story from the perspective of like we. So it was like we saw them and we knew that this, and that, but then this we knew so many details and intricate like information about the family that were so intimate that there's no way like a villager, like your neighbor, would know about you or your family. So we were supposed to connect to these characters through the villagers' perspective, but in reality we couldn't, because there's no way these people knew so much about this family. Like, for example, there's like a passage where we were like learning about the brothers and like how their like hate for each other kind of started and how the villagers could see it. And basically, I don't remember exactly, but it was said that one of the brothers was sleeping with the back to the wall and the other one was sleeping with the back to the other one, and then the roles have reversed, and then the other brother was sleeping with the back to the wall, and so on. And I'm like, there's no way these villagers would have known this detail about this family, about these brothers. There's just no way. It just doesn't make sense in my head. So for me, I just can't believe it. It's unbelievable because, like I said, there's no way that these people will know so much about this family without being inside the family, if that makes any sense. So this brings me to my other reason for DNFing it. I just couldn't connect to any of the characters. I was bored. I didn't care. I felt like I was just reading to finish this book and I was doing anything else but read this book. And it's quite a short book. And I was so distracted. I was speaking on my phone. I was like doing anything else but read this book. And also it is very wordy. I feel like this entire book, a 300 pages book, has only like 17 chapters or something like that. So like a chapter is around 40-50 pages. I'm like, it's so long. On top of which the book itself, it's very wordy. I feel like we get a lot of information using big words and long sentences, on top of which these sentences are being told from like one perspective and then jumping from another perspective. We're in Ambrose's like POV sort of, and then we jump and we are in like his wife's POV, like all of these thoughts and perspectives and information we get, like they all come together from different people. I'm like, I just cannot believe you and I can't connect to you. So I feel like this is me done talking about this book. I'm not trying to be mean, but I did not enjoy it. I did not like it, so I'm not going to stick with it. I feel like there's so many more books on my shelves that I'm really, really excited about. So I am sure there's people out there that would love this book more than I did. So yeah, I have decided to put this book down and then I saved the best book to the last. I am so excited about this book. Well, I was in between two books written by the same person and I don't know which one to pick. So I have made my boyfriend Pat pick a book and he has picked Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. I already have started this book last night and I didn't read that much. I only got to page 58, but I don't know if you guys can tell like my annotations. I hope you can. I will put like a b-roll in here so you'll be able to see. I'm loving this book so much. I think I was on page, let's see. I was on page 5 and I wrote, I can already tell this is going to be a 5 stars. I hope you guys can see that. I am loving this writing style so much. I love the story. I love the premise. I love the characters already. The writing style though. So in this book we are following this like robber, right? So he wants to go and rob a bank and he needs a very specific amount of money, and then he goes to rob this bank, and actually this bank is a cashless bank. Because of that, he has to now run away from the police, and he runs into the like this open apartment because there's these people that are viewing the apartment, and he basically runs in the apartment and takes the viewers as hostages. And that's all we kind of know about this for now, about the robber himself. But then we jumped to the policeman perspective and trying to learn about him and where he is, because basically all the hostages have been saved, but then the robber has disappeared and nobody can see him, nobody can find him. And basically the way he disappeared, it's very mysterious because all the windows and all the doors were locked and there was no other way for him to disappear without being seen by the police. So it's just very mysterious. There's no hiding places in this apartment that he could be hiding. So everyone is wondering where he is and how he made it work and what's going through his brain, basically. So we learn about him and the robber and how he takes these viewers as hostages, and then we quickly jump to the policeman and we learn that there's like a young policeman and then there's an older policeman, and later like just a few chapters later, we learn that they are son and father, and they have like this really weird relationship dynamic, and we get a lot of like what it is to be a father from the father's perspective, and what it is to be a parent, and a parent's struggle when it comes to their child, and how no matter how old a child is, they will always be, you know, the parent's kid, and how hard it is for the parents to see their kid struggling or going through like a messy situation, or something like traumatic happening to them, because it's basically just the same for the parents. So there's a lot to follow on right now. I feel like that's the most I can say for now without spoiling anything for you guys. But I am loving this book so much. The writing style, it's so like unique and interesting. We have chapters where we are addressed as the reader, so it's told from the you perspective, and I feel like I am being talked to, and I am being like told information and stuff like that. And then the story is told from the third POV, but it's very like different. I don't know, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me anyway, like this third POV. I enjoy third person and first person, but I feel like it's a bit different from the traditional third POV, not POV person. And I'm really, really enjoying it. The way he writes as well, the way he puts like things into perspective, and the words he's using to make up this like entire metaphor, and his metaphors as well are so good. Honestly, I am just 50 pages in, like I said earlier, but I think this is going to be a 5 stars. This is my first Fredrik Backman book, and I'm so excited I picked this one up. Honestly, when I started it last night, I only want to read like a chapter to see what the vibe is and how the writing style is, because when I put down The Boy from the Sea, I don't really feel like reading, but obviously I have this reading vlog going on, and so I do want to like continue with it and finish it. And I read like the first page, and then I was like, oh, okay, I could be underlining that. Let me go grab like a highlighter. And I grabbed the highlighter, and then I read one more page, and I was like, okay, but actually I want to tab this. And then I read one more page, and I was like, okay, but I want to tab this as well. And then like 4 or 5 pages in, I went and grabbed all my annotation like kit, and I started annotating this book, and I'm loving this book. Like, I can already tell this book is going to be a 5 stars, and I'm so glad I started with this in my Fredrik Backman journey. And now I'm even so more excited to start the Bergtown trilogy, because I know everyone loves those series, so I'm excited. And also, this is not a sticker, it's one of those stickers that are actually on the cover, which is very annoying. But I realized that this is a series on Netflix, and I watched the trailer last night, and I'm excited to read this book and then watch the series, because I'm excited to see how this entire premise is going to be like showed into the TV series. So I'm excited. Like I said, I think this is going to be a 5 stars for me. But yeah, I will give you guys a few more updates once I have made some progress into it. I'm planning to sit down and chill for a bit now, and then I will probably talk to you guys a bit later. Look at how much progress I've made. I only have like this bit left. To say that I am loving this book is such an understatement. I am having the best time I've had with a book in a really long, not in a really long time, because I've had loads of 5 stars recently, but this book just feels so different. It's such a unique book with such a unique story and unique characters, and it just makes sense, but it's like something I've never read before. I'm having so much fun. I feel like I'm going to finish this book today. I have quite a lot left. I've got this much left, but the chapters are so short and it's so fast paced, and also I'm listening to the audiobook while also like reading it with my eyes. So I feel like this like reading experience is so much more immersive, and it really makes me feel like I'm one of the characters just in the corner watching all of these people come together and learn about their stories and their lives, and how they got to actually become this big group of people with not similar experiences, but that managed to experience the same thing together at the same time, and have managed to come together despite them being so different. I honestly don't know how to describe this book. I'm loving it so much. I think it's going to be a 6 stars. I think it's going to be a book that I'm going to be talking about for a really, really long time. And basically, right now, we learn about all of these hostages, kind of with the help of the policeman that conduct this investigation and try to learn where this bank robber is, because obviously he is gone, he has disappeared, and also with the flashbacks to the hostages and what has actually truly happened while they were being hostages, and how it happened that they are all where they are right now in this part of the story. And it's so freaking good. Like I said, there's some chapters that we are being addressed as the reader, and it's like the narrator speaking to us, and I think that makes this experience so, I don't know how to explain it. I'm just loving it a lot. I've honestly tabbed so much, I feel like I'm going to run out of my sticky tabs, but I feel like this book is one of those books where it demands to be annotated. I feel like every other sentence I'm taking my highlighter out and I'm highlighting something, and it's so relatable. It talks about what it is of being a parent, but also like the perspective of the child and the different sort of feelings the parent and the child feels for the same situation or for the same outcome of a situation, what it is to really be human. There's so much more than that. It is a story about idiots, but you just have to read the book. You just have to read the book to understand that we are all idiots at the end of the day. And I feel like every single person that was to read this book would get something out of it and could relate in a certain way or with a certain character. And maybe not even, but like just these quirky characters, the way they all came together, and they make such like a weird, quirky, but such a adorable group of people. It's amazing. I love it a lot, and I am going to go and finish it probably tonight or maybe tomorrow morning. But I am honestly having the best time of this book. I cannot believe how much I'm loving it. I cannot believe how fast I'm reading it. I honestly cannot believe how much I put this off, because I was excited to read it and I knew I'm going to love it. But I feel like because I knew I'm going to love it so much, I've been putting it off. But I'm really, really excited that I got to read this book. But I'll finish the book and I'll let you guys know what I think and the final rating. Okay, guys, I have finished our third book for this reading vlog, and honestly, I feel like you probably already can tell. I'm going to give this book a 6 stars, 7 stars, infinity stars. I love this book so much. It's been a couple of days since I last spoke to you guys, because honestly I just wanted some like time off, and this book made me feel so much, and I just want to make sure that I'm making sense when I speak about this book, which I probably won't, because it's such a good book. Can you tell by my annotations? Look how much I love this book. I don't know how to speak about this book and be normal. I am obsessed with Fredrik Backman. I'm obsessed with his writing style. I'm obsessed with this book and these characters, and it was such a good representation of what it is to be a human and about humanity. And the depression representation in this book was so well done and was so real. Like, that's things that normal people, real people, actually go through and deal with. And it honestly teaches you that it's okay not to be perfect and to make mistakes, and try and do your best and be a good human, be good to one another, and try and do your best. And if your best is not perfect or it's not good enough, that's fine. Just be you and try to be good. And yeah, there's so much more that I would like to say about this book, but I feel like I just cannot find my words. I have left again a Goodreads review right after I finished this book, and I feel like I made a bit more sense when I gave my review, but I absolutely adore this book. This is one of those books that I know I'm going to think about even like 20 years from now, and it is a book that I will definitely be rereading. And I'm not a big rereader, as you probably already know if you watched my previous videos. So I think that says a lot about how much I love this book and about how much I am going to think about this book. I'm going to be recommending this to everyone, everywhere, all over social media, because I know that it got hyped when it like first got released, which was in, I don't know. So this specific edition was published in 2021, so that was 5 years ago. And I know it got hyped like ages ago, but I feel like right now it does not get the hype that it deserves and it needs. And I'm so itching now to read more of his books, because if they are that good, then I don't know what I'm going to do. Because after I finished this book, I honestly cried for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, because I just couldn't properly describe what I was feeling. I love this book. It made me feel sad, but it made me feel happy. It made me feel nostalgic. It made me feel all the feelings. It made me feel like that's okay, you know, I am who I am and that's okay. And yeah, I'm going to stop because I'm going to get emotional again and cry. And yeah, I would highly recommend this book. I know probably a lot of you have already read this book, but if you haven't, then this is your sign, because it is such an amazing book. I can't describe it properly, so please read this book if you haven't already. And that brings us to the end, but before we move on, I just want to quickly recap all the books that we have read in this reading vlog. So first we have started with Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I gave this book a 4 stars. I would highly recommend this book. I quickly want to mention that I have watched the movie since we last spoke about this book. So good, just as good as this book, and it makes me want to bump my rating a bit higher, because I feel like after watching the movie I could see everything clearer in my head. And I know there's like a few things they have changed or they haven't put in the movie from the book, but honestly I didn't even realize that this movie is that long. It didn't feel like it was 2 hours and almost 40 minutes long. So good. I love this book. I love the audiobook. I love the movie. I would highly recommend every single one of them. And I love Rocky. I love Rocky so much. Yes. So this is the first book we have read, and I would highly recommend it. I loved it a lot, and I am going to read more of his books. Then from a sci-fi we have jumped to a literary fiction, and this unfortunately was a DNF for me. I have stopped at around 60% of the way through this book, and unfortunately it wasn't a book for me, and that's fine. But then honestly, we just spoke about this, we have finished with a favorite of all time type of book, and I'm so happy I got to vlog this book and share this love that I have for this book with you guys. I love this a lot. I would highly recommend it, and I cannot believe I read such a good book, and it's such a great time to be alive because I got to read this and I got to experience this. So those are all the books we have read in today's reading vlog. I had a lot of fun. Even though we had a DNF, I think these 2 books make up for the DNF. So I'm really happy with the books that we read. I am going to recommend these books non-stop, so be prepared for me to get annoying, because I will. And yeah, let me know if you have read any of those books. Let me know why you rated them and how you like them, if you like them. And if you have watched until the end, leave me a police emoji. If there are any sorts of police emojis, leave them down below in the comments if you want to let me know that you have stayed until the end. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!